D.B. Cooper, one of the great riddles in American history and American pop culture, was a bank robber and from the 70s, and now there might be new information. Aaron Katersky following this riddle for us. Good morning, Aaron Katersky.
Well, good morning. This has been a riddle since 1971, but the FBI closed the case officially last year as unsolved. But they did sort of deploy a group of amateur detectives to gather clues, and these scientists say they may have unearthed some clues that D.B. Cooper was connected to the aerospace industry in Seattle. Effectively, this could have been an inside job from somebody at Boeing or somewhere else in the aerospace industry back in the early 70s.
A lot of people think he got away with what, close to $200,000 from the bank?
$200,000 and 4 parachutes is what he asked for once he took over the plane, claiming that there was a bomb in his suitcase. And this was back Northwest Orient plane in 1971. The plane landed at SeaTac Airport. The FBI delivered the money and the parachutes, and then when the plane took off heading south, he jumped, never to be heard from again.
A lot of people think you couldn't physically survive the jump because of the weather and the cold and everything.
Yeah, and officially, if he did survive, we don't know where he is or even who he is. D.B. Cooper was sort of what he became known as. But if he didn't survive, there's been no body discovered, and so that's also curious. But he did leave behind a clue, a clip-on tie, kind of like the one I saw you wearing at the debate when you had it on.
Not the exact one, but something similar.
No, similar.
Yes.
Similar with the clip-on.
Yes.
And
right.
and these amateur scientists used an electron microscope and discovered tens of thousands of particles on this old tie. I think it was from J.C. Penney. Again.
Something similar I would wear, yes.
And some of those particles are rare earth elements used for very specific things, like in the aerospace industry, and that's what leads these amateur scientists. They call themselves citizen sleuths, and they took a look at this stuff and said, it could only have come from the aerospace industry.
So this new technology, interesting, does it get them any closer or narrow down who it might actually be?
Well, I suppose they could then narrow it down, all right, if it's aerospace industry in the 1970s Seattle, I suppose that's a finite number of people, but still a lot of people.
Right.
And they don't seem to be any closer to identifying, anything beyond the particles on the tie. But if they can narrow it down, I'm sure the FBI would be willing to listen.
I'm shocked they couldn't find any particles of DNA on that tie if he was wearing it, or at some point put his hands on it.
Maybe that's the next step. I mean, maybe again, if they can sort of figure that out, but the DNA extraction may be one thing, but then who do you compare it to?
Right. Good point.
And what samples are there? So officially the case remains closed, but if these particles lead them anywhere, you never know.
Wasn't there a couple years ago somebody came out and said it was my uncle and he died or something?
I think every few years there's like a D.B. Cooper,
right,
conspiracy theorist or somebody who steps forward to say, it's my uncle, cousin, nephew, brother, sister,
right.
and it never really goes anywhere. This one was kind of fun though because they actually seem to have narrowed it down. The other possibility, and our own consultant Steve Ganyard says that maybe this is somebody that worked not just in aerospace, but maybe in the nuclear industry, somewhere between kind of Phoenix and Seattle. And that's why, he parachuted out as the plane went south.
Yeah. Aaron Katersky, did you ever see the movie The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper with Treat Williams?
I did not. Is it a must-see?
It's, it's a pretty good, it's sort of like what could have happened to D.B. Cooper, and it's a young Treat Williams, 1980s-ish. It's a good little Saturday afternoon movie.
All right, I'm in.
If you ever get a chance. All right, good. Aaron Katersky, thanks for checking in, Aaron.
Thanks, McGraw.
And you know what? It's interesting because I haven't found that clip-on tie since the debate, so maybe Aaron had his eyes on it and sort of took it back to New York with him. Stephen Roberts is going to join us in 8 minutes. Friday, it will be President Trump. What does that mean going forward? Stephen Roberts, a world